Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar titled Learn How to Engage Your Campus Community in the Campus Race to Zero Waste 2021 competition. And I am actually going to open my chat. I want to make sure that folks can hear me. So if you can let me know that you can hear me, that would be great. If not, I'll make sure folks give people a little bit more time to enter in. All right, so our participant list is slowly going up. So I'm going to just hold for a moment before we get started. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, thank you. All right. All right, so like I said, thank you for joining us for our webinar today. This is Christy Jones. I work at National Wildlife Federation and I manage the Campus Race to Zero Waste program. Today's webinar will be 1 hour and it will be recorded, and we will also post the recording on our website. Let me see, Chris, if I can. Chris, I believe you have a question, so let me see if I can open it up for you. One moment. Chris, go ahead. All right, Chris, I don't hear you, so if you have a question, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. All right. Can folks let me know in the chat if everybody can hear me? I just want to make sure audio is okay. Perfect. I appreciate it. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So for today's agenda, I'm going to do a quick overview of the category opportunities of the competition and touch on a little bit about what is new for 2021. We'll talk about goal setting for your competition, all of the steps involved in planning for the competition. We'll talk about rebranding from Recyclemania to Campus Race to Zero Waste, because Recyclemania has had this name. The program has had the name for 20 years. So I know this is a big change for many schools that have participated in the past for several years. I'll highlight some online resources that can help you be successful in your competition. And we also have, we have one, we were planning to have 2 campus features today. We were supposed to have 2, we only have 1. I have Molly Kathleen is joining me from the Ohio State University. She will talk about their engagement strategies for the campus community around the competition, and specifically talk about their zero waste certification training. Our second feature for today, although they are not joining us live, we do have a presentation from Helena Robinson from Xavier University of Louisiana. Helena wanted to join us today. However, as many of you probably are aware, they are under hurricane conditions. I was in touch with Helena yesterday, and they were quickly closing down the campus and evacuating. So hopefully she and her colleagues and family are safe. But she was nice enough to put a presentation together for us. So I will be showing that once we hear from Molly at the Ohio State University. All right. So actually, I want to do a quick poll before we get started. It's, have you registered your campus for the 2021 competition? All right, let folks answer that. All right. I will end the polling and I'll let you see the results in case you're interested. So it looks like we got quite a few folks that have registered. Several that are not sure yet, which is completely understandable. Not yet. Okay. All right. So we'll continue on. So this slide here, this is our infographic highlighting the success of the 2020 competition. And when National Wildlife Federation took over the management of the Campus Race to Zero Waste program in 2018, one of the main reasons we were really excited about this program was the connection to plastic pollution. Plastic pollution has a major negative threat on marine animals, fish, marine mammals, birds, and the environment, not just marine, but also freshwater wildlife as well. So every year we put together this infographic to kind of talk about that story about why plastic pollution can be harmful to the environment. And then we talk about the success of all of the colleges and universities that have worked so hard through their waste reduction and recycling efforts on campus. So for last year, even though it was a short competition, due to COVID, many campuses, as you know, closed early and went online. We still, the 300 campuses that participated in the competition cut out 380 million single-use plastic containers, and you all recycled and composted 48.6 million pounds of waste. So it was a wonderful story to tell. And so I take every opportunity to show this infographic when we're talking about the program. All right, so quickly, category opportunities. This is very brief. I will be hosting another webinar next Thursday, November 5th, I believe, at 2 p.m. Eastern, so same time, and that's an overview of the competition. So that is where I'll get into a lot of details about the categories. And I hosted that webinar, I believe, in September. So next week's webinar is the exact same one as September. So if you didn't join us in the September webinar, I encourage you to join us next week because I'll get into the details. So for today, I really just wanted to give you a quick overview. So the competition, 2 months in the spring, February and March. There are 4 main categories that you can participate in. Those 4 main categories, you participate for a full 8 weeks. That's diversion, meaning you will report on your trash, recyclables, and food organics. The per capita recycling category is just your recyclables, food organics, self-explanatory, and then our new zero waste category. This is our second year doing that. So zero waste, for 8 weeks, you will be reporting on your trash, recyclables, materials for reuse, as well as your food. We also have several special categories, game day basketball, which is 1 home game, Race to Zero Waste, 1 building challenge, that's 1 month. And then we also have electronics, and that is a 4-week time frame within the competition period. Schools you can participate in as many categories as you want. You can participate in only 1 if that's what you prefer. This spring is going to be very unusual. So I would imagine that schools are just trying to figure out if you're able to participate or not. And towards the end of the webinar and through email, we'll also be highlighting different options to participate with the program beyond the tracking and reporting of the competition that just might not work out for you this year. All right, so new for 2021. I think this is a pretty big deal. We're trying to level the playing field of the competition and allowing more campuses to receive recognition as top ranking. So for 2021, we will begin recognizing 3 winners per each main category. So in the past, there was always 1 top ranking campus. For the upcoming competition, there will be 3 for all of the main categories: zero waste, diversion, food organics, and per capita. And we will choose those top ranking based on the Carnegie classification of small, very small, medium, large, and very large. We ask you that question during registration. When you register for the competition, it's a required question. We ask you what type of campus you are, and so that's taken care of. You don't have to fill out any other information. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. All right, so let's jump into setting participation goals. So we're so excited when you register for the competition, and it's a big deal and it's a lot of work. And we believe the competition really helps you, you know, reach your goals as far as zero waste, reducing waste, increasing recycling, whatever your goals are. And, you know, to get as much as you can out of the competition, we really encourage you to plan early, and engage as many people as you can, host activities, educational awareness. So it's really a good idea to kind of set your participation goals, like really what do you want to get out of this competition? So I added a few different things up here at the top. This might be, so for this year, for 2021, if you're able to participate, this might be an opportunity to relaunch waste reduction efforts. Things have been a little different on campus since last spring. So we're really highlighting the fact that this might be a great opportunity to relaunch, revive efforts, re-energize the campus community around waste reduction. When you're thinking of participation, you can also decide who is your target audience. Is it the full campus? Is it students living on campus? Is it folks that are joining or, you know, going to the dining facilities, whatever that might be? And there's a couple of other goals that I won't read off to you, but it's, I think, you know, whenever you're participating in any program or launching any new project, it's always good to have goals, participation goals up front. All right, issue a call to action. So what is your key action for the competition? What do you really want folks to do, your students, faculty, and staff? What are your priority actions? So we lay out here, you want to set your challenge to publicize to the audience. So again, who's your target audience, and then customize that call to action based on who that is. Make it positive, talk to the values of the audience, of your target audience. I always highlight, bring it home, make it local for people. How does it impact them as an individual, maybe their friends, their family? Right, here are a couple of examples, action examples. Again, the first one is really kind of related to COVID and the fact that many campuses aren't fully operational yet with students on campus, and that might not happen in the spring either. So a call to action might be get back on track to reduce your waste footprint. A few other ideas are you can do internal competitions between residence halls. If you have basketball, you might, one of your action examples might be, you know, you want to beat a certain campus in game day basketball. You can also organize around one of the specific categories of recycling. So cans and bottles, paper, cardboard. If that's something that you're really, if that's a goal of yours, that's something you want to strive for. All right, planning steps. So first, we already talked about define your target audience, get your team together. I encourage you, the more people you have working with you, the less work each individual person has to do. And also assembling a team of students, faculty, and staff, then you're also getting more skills on the team. So different people have different interests and skills that they can bring to the competition. And then of course, determine your resources. Resources can be partners, can be financial resources, it can be skills that you need. A few on-campus partner ideas: student government, dining facilities, Greek life, kind of some of the usual suspects that you probably partner with on other efforts. We also highlight off-campus partners. So any of your vendors, maybe local businesses, local charities. National Wildlife Federation has state affiliates in almost all 50 states and a few of the US territories. If you're interested in connecting with one of them, please let me know. I'd be happy to do that. Another great off-campus partner is your hauler. Your hauler is even if you don't have kind of specific partnership tasks in mind, I would encourage you letting them know that you're participating in the competition. They might be more flexible with getting you the data you need for tracking and reporting. All right, planning steps continued. So planning activities and displays, you know, these are internal competitions, which we mentioned, distribution of reusables, waste audits. These are really great opportunities. They might not be activities that you can implement this spring. Each campus this spring is going to be different, and you know, will be able to make that decision and call yourself once you know what the policies are in place and any guidelines for safety moving forward. With moving forward, even if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic and many folks aren't fully on campus, digital campaigns are a really great way to engage during the competition, just making sure folks are aware that you're participating. How can they participate? You know, social media, email, maybe quizzes, that type of thing. All right, some of the traditional communications are through newspapers and listservs, like I mentioned just a little bit ago. Some non-traditional, great way to get out some content are posting some blogs, on-campus advertising screens, chalk art. People, that's always fun. That's always fun to do. And in terms of your communication strategy, this kind of goes back to building your team for your competition, you know, getting students, faculty, and staff involved, but also ensuring that you're reaching out to your public relations office or maybe your communications department, academic department, to get that expertise on your team to help you with that, that type of task that you will want to do, because you'll want to share what's going on with the competition on campus as well as off campus. And once the competition closes in the late April and early May, National Wildlife Federation, we also do a lot of communications around the competition to highlight the success of all schools that participate, not only the top ranking, not just the top ranking campuses, but all schools. All right, I'm gonna keep moving because I want to pass it to Molly. I don't want to run out of time for the juiciest part of the webinar. So kind of whenever you're working on your plan for the competition, I really just encourage you to stay on message. So some of the ideas, again, are relaunch waste reduction efforts. Let's see. Towards the bottom, I also, again, say bring it home. Like I find that if you can connect it with impacts to your local community, your local, you know, we just released a guide talking about plastics pollution going into the rivers and then on into the ocean. So there's a lot of information and storytelling that you can use to talk about why you're participating in the competition and the positive impact that every individual makes when they participate. Right, so student engagement, this is another opportunity to kind of highlight during the competition. And I'm happy to help out more with this, like identify ways that you can kind of make it more valuable for your students if that's a challenge that you are having. But a few of the benefits that you could put out there is, of course, they meet new friends and network with others with similar interests. Gaining leadership skills. We have a program at National Wildlife Federation called Eco Leaders. It's all about gaining leadership skills. It's all about leadership development and career exploration. So we have set up specific resources to connect to the Campus Race to Zero Waste competition. It's all free, of course, so that might be a value to your students if they feel like they're going to get valuable leadership skills that they can share with prospective employers on their resumes, that type of thing. All right, so rebranding to Campus Race to Zero Waste. So a couple of ideas for this. And again, I'm happy to talk with anybody if you want to kind of talk about what materials you have, or maybe some of the challenges you feel like you might be facing with rebranding. You are more than welcome to use both logos on your materials. I have, as we've started promoting for the fall, or for this fall for the spring competition, I've used frequently say formerly Recyclemania, because it's very well known. You can, if you already have existing materials, you can just insert the new name if you already have the logo. And I would take every opportunity to use the new name and say formerly Recyclemania. We haven't fully shifted over to Campus Race to Zero Waste. Almost everything is that name and that logo. But if you'll notice, when I send emails, I still send it from Recyclemania. I want to continue to do the rebranding and make sure people are familiar with the new name before we 100% shift over. And your campus will probably need that as well. So again, on the website, all the new logos are up. And if you need any old logos, just please let me know. All right, so web resources, we have on the website, we have a planning checklist, activity ideas, all of the materials that are ready for the 2021 competition are available to download. We also have a resource on our website now. It's under more resources. If you click, it's called Beyond the Competition. So there's ideas there if you don't feel like you can participate in tracking and reporting of the competition this year. Check that out. We still want you to engage with us. Again, you could use that spring timeframe to launch a digital campaign and get folks, just keep the information flowing about waste reduction, practices that people can do that are safe during this time is I think really important. All right, one of our new guides I wanted to highlight here, it's called Stemming the Tide, Taking Action on Campus Against Plastic Pollution. It has a lot of great ideas in it for individual action as well as campus-wide action. So you might find some strategies in there that you can use during your competition this spring. It also has information about the impacts of plastic pollution on humans and wildlife. So that is maybe good content to share in your storytelling when you talk about why you're participating in the competition and why it's so important to be conscious of what you purchase and conscious of what you throw away or recycle. All right, let's see. Just wanted to flag this. Also, we have a resource online. It's a specific activity guide for freshmen and dorm dwellers. So specific for students and students living on campus. Although there's ideas there for students that are not living on campus, but that was the target audience in mind when this resource was developed last fall. All right, and quickly, I'm gonna just take one more minute. Okay, so Learn from Your Peers are our campus case studies. I encourage you to check those out. Those are really useful to kind of scan and see if there are any campuses that have done something that you were interested in doing. You can learn about their successes and challenges, and full contact information is available in those case studies. So I encourage you to reach out and connect with those folks. All right, we also have activities online that you can check out. All right, we have, if this is one tool that you might be interested in sharing, is we have a map. It's more filled in than this one is. There's a map on our website that shows all of the states that have schools that have already signed up. So it's always kind of fun to see a map. All right, so I'm going to stop here. I think I have one question. Oh, never mind. All right, so I'm going to stop there. We will do a Q&A at the end, but I'm going to stop and pass it over to Molly Kathleen from the Ohio State University to talk about their engagement strategies and specifically their zero waste certification training.
Hi, thanks so much, Christy. So I am the zero waste coordinator. Hi, sorry about that. I was on mute. Thank you so much, Christy. My name is Molly Kathleen. I'm the Zero Waste Coordinator for the Ohio State University. Today, I am going to walk through some of the strategies that Ohio State has used to engage the campus community in the campus race to zero waste. So we'll see if I have controls. Christy, did you pass those over to me?
I did. Click on this. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I know.
Okay.
There's always a delay.
Sorry about that. Okay. So some of the more traditional forms of engagement, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, is using social media and internal newsletters and web pages to spread the word about participating in the competition and kind of generating more interest around composting and recycling and waste reduction. We also acquired building level data for the residence halls so the students could have a friendly competition with their peers. Okay, and dealing with a little bit of a lag on my end. Oops.
Did that work?
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is slide number 3. So yeah, this looks good. So when we're thinking about the campus race to zero waste and what Ohio State could do to move the needle from our current diversion rate towards zero waste, we identified 3 areas of importance. So the first was program and infrastructure awareness. And just an example of that is, do the students know where the recycling room is in their residence hall? And do new staff in the dining halls know how to use the food pulper so food can be composted? So these are some of the things that, when we're shuffling students in and out, especially at the beginning of the year, sometimes these things can be overlooked and they're really important to how our programs operate. Next is increasing participation and decreasing contamination. Decreasing contamination, we think, is just as important as increasing participation in recycling. In the past, Ohio State has struggled with contamination rates high enough to have some of our loads rejected at the MRF. So as many of you, especially if you're in operations, might be aware, a few misplaced bags can really ruin an entire truckload of recycling. So we really focus on both participation as well as contamination as being important. Lastly, engaging the campus community on all levels was another way that we wanted to make progress toward the zero waste goal. So no matter what your role is on a university campus, we all play a very important role in achieving zero waste. And can we go to the next slide, please?
There we go.
Thank you. It's not working on my end. Okay, so that's kind of when we did an analysis of how we typically engage our campus. Many strategies are really focused on the waste generators, like the students, and little training is really given to the people who manage the waste stream down the line or after it's been generated. So by performing this gap analysis on our education and awareness strategies, we were able to identify a need to engage our operations staff in zero waste. And our operations staff includes custodial, housekeeping, landscaping, maintenance, and other zone leaders and building coordinators. Next slide, please. So engaging the operations staff in the campus race to zero waste, what we decided to do was do a sustainability and zero waste certification training for all of our operations workers. Some of the main objectives of our certification were that at the end, those who participated would understand how to properly recycle, compost, and reduce waste on campus. And they would be able to identify new simple habits which can help Ohio State achieve zero waste. This was done in hour-long sessions, and we had done the training through an interactive PowerPoint presentation. So our presentation, we tried to keep it fresh and fun. So we included a lot of photos and waste reduction statistics. We had a quiz, some videos demonstrating the waste reduction programs and operations on campus. And there was other information as well about how to properly use and maintain the indoor and outdoor systems designed to capture materials that we will divert from landfills. Next slide, please. So our overall investment, essentially, if this is something you're interested in doing, we held 12-hour-long presentations for all of our operations workers. Our overall investment was just $1,200, and that was for essentially promotional thank you items that would help the participants who participated use a new zero waste habit. So what the item was a package of reusable silverware that they would be able to use when they eat their lunch on campus instead of using single-use silverware. And so this took about 2.5 hours per session on my end, with doing sign-in sheets and actually traveling to and from the training location, as well as getting everybody's names inputted afterwards. So there was a little bit of back end work on my end, but it wasn't too significant, in terms of the overall time investment. And this resulted in us being able to have 247 operations staff become certified in sustainability and zero waste. Next slide, please. Okay, so some of our lessons learned. This training opened up a dialogue between our operations and sustainability staff. So what we did is we made sure we had some time left over at the end of every session where the participants would be able to come and talk with me or anybody else who helped present, so they could share any suggestions, comments, issues in their building, if they, found any infrastructure that was broken that they're aware of that needs fixed. And just kind of an example of how this was really helpful for us and really beneficial for both ends is we had one of our building coordinators let me know that a large amount of steamed plant material from a greenhouse that he was managing was regularly being landfilled. So we were able to add their building to our compost route and give them some bins to start composting all of their green waste. So these are just some of ideas or examples of some of the details that our small staff that actually works in recycling would not have known about without the help of our operations staff who actually work in all of these buildings on campus, if they didn't bring this to our attention. The next lesson learned from this process, because this is the first year we did this, was that we should work with the managers ahead of time to find out if there are any accommodations needed to make sure that the training that we're doing is accessible to all of the participants. One of the things that I kind of overlooked, and we were actually able to remedy it on the spot, was that we had 2 sessions that were scheduled back to back, and there was a little bit of a language barrier. So I was able to get a translator to help co-present with me. So that was something that, had I thought about it ahead of time, we could have reached out to all of the managers to make sure that the training was accessible to everybody. But now we know. So that was just kind of a lesson learned. Next slide, please. Okay, so basically, how did the education program impact our diversion rate? Well, it's very hard to isolate and identify what percentage of the increase could directly be attributed to our zero waste certification program, but Ohio State did increase its participation or its diversion rates on the Columbus campus from 31.7% in fiscal year 2019 to 36.9% in fiscal year 2020. So overall, it seemed like it was a really positive program, and it had a positive impact on our diversion strategies. So I think Christy is going to save questions for the end. So if anybody has any questions, I'll stick around and I'd be happy to answer those.
Great, Molly. Thank you so much. And yes, absolutely. We are, I haven't seen any questions come through, but we will, we are going to have a Q&A at the end. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to pull up Helena's presentation and show it for, go ahead and show it to everyone. So give me one moment. All right. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be live today, but unfortunately, we are currently going through a Category 2 hurricane in its aftermath down here in New Orleans. I am Alina Robinson, the Director of Sustainability and Quality Control for Xavier University of Louisiana. As we were conducting our first year of participation in Recyclemania, I was also starting my first year as the Director of Sustainability for the campus. A little background info on us. Xavier is a small, historically Black and Catholic university with approximately 3,000 plus students. Our specialties lie in the areas of STEM and the health fields, with pharmacy being our top area of study. About 4 years ago, Facility Planning and Management decided to hire a sustainability director to manage sustainability initiatives on campus. And that then director coined the term Zula Green for our sustainability team. Our first major initiative on campus was to build up the recycling program that facilities and a few other faculty and staff had started.
Hey, Molly, I have a quick question. Can you hear Helena's presentation okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Around 2019, I transitioned into the director position. And because I had a good relationship with the previous director, I was able to continue and advance what she had started. So because we had a recycling program in place, my assistant and I felt we could successfully enter the Recyclemania competition to at least try it and see how we would have fared out. After reading through the website and accompanying entry documents, we met to discuss a plan of action. The first few meetings we had, we developed a schedule or a timeline of events from beginning to foreseeable end. And basically throughout the entire process, we met frequently and adapted the schedule as needed. One of the major tasks during our planning and meeting was to decide who and what help we needed. Our team was responsible for initial planning and at least basic management of our participation. And then we included the volunteers, the donors, and sponsors to fit in where we needed more assistance. So Zula Green, which is the sustainability team, we did do all the planning, we did the event setups, we coordinated all the events, we managed the events, we procured all the basic supplies, such as a purchase of a rolling weighing scale, which is very important. So if you don't have one, that might be one of the first things that you look at getting. Our volunteers were the ones that helped with outreach and activities. So they assisted us with the events. They would take pictures. They would help us post stuff on social media. They also helped with weighing and collecting the recycling. And then our sponsors and donors were the ones that provided us with some of our prizes. They donated items such as our Rubicon donated a sorter recycle station for us. And even our custodial contractors helped above and beyond with liners and other recycling needs that we had. Although the main purpose of this year's participation was to start getting students involved in more of our recycling efforts, we were ultimately able to show the entire Xavier community, we are serious about recycling and to hopefully promote the fact that they need to be involved as well. As a result of all our hard work and organization, Xavier University was able to complete the season and place even amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we participated in 2 areas. In per capita classic diversion, we were able to score 32 out of 189 schools. And then game day basketball, we ranked 26 out of 32, and partly because our participation was quite low due to the fact that that was the first weekend of COVID really taking effect of the country and having a lot of people stay at home. As a side note, as part of the post-competition review and activities, we were invited to submit a case study on our first year of participation by Recyclemania. And so that is something also pretty cool to participate in as well. So how will we improve going forward? Going through COVID-19 hindered many of our efforts, especially like I mentioned earlier for the game day, but we still had a very positive experience. And so in the upcoming season, we plan to start all processes early, especially since we're still going through the pandemic. One of the first things we're going to do is try to get students more involved and invested by partnering with a student group. So right now we're looking at working with SGA and their sustainability cabinet. Second, we want to promote events longer and more creatively. So right now we have won a grant through Keep Louisiana Beautiful, and that is actually helping us promote through social media recycling on campus. So we've been doing that all semester long and having little small contests that way. Third, we want to host more in-house events to build up excitement. So along with that Keep Louisiana Beautiful activity, we are hosting events, win a prize for answering a quiz online, get caught recycling, those type of things. And 4, we want to seek more sponsors. Some last words of advice. You won't know how you do until you try. So gather up your basic recycling processes and just go for it. So remember these few tips to help you through. 1, recruit volunteers and helpers early and become good friends with your custodial crew. You never know who you may need, so get in now. Number 2, create a running schedule on a platform such as Google Docs of all activities, events, and tasks to do pre and post competition. And the running doc is good because as you change it, it changes for everyone that has access to the document, and more than one person can use it. Third, early on, create and practice a way to monitor and weigh your recycling for the entire campus, or if you're just doing one building or a certain area. What we did, we use Google Docs a lot, and we use a Google Doc chart. And on the chart, we list all our bin outside exterior bin locations, and we monitor those 1 to 2 times a week. And we know if the bin is 0% full, 25%, 50%, up to 100% full. And we even take pictures of it, and we can put all of that information in a chart every week. 4, participate in as many preseason activities as possible and utilize as many of the resources you can that Recyclemania provides. They have a lot of good resources, such as the graphics that we use for our flyers. They have a lot of webinars that provide you more information and help. They got a lot of activity ideas, and the case studies are very helpful too, because you can gain a lot of helpful information from other schools or organizations that have been through this before you. Well, looks like I'm at the end. If you have more questions, feel free to call me. I'm Helena Robinson, 504-520-7236, or you can email me anytime. You can also follow us on any of our social media platforms. We are listed as Zula Green, and we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
All right. Well, so that was Helena Robinson at Xavier University of Louisiana. She was put this presentation together and did the voiceover for us yesterday, right before I think she had to kind of batten down the hatches. So that was Very kind of her. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing her presentation, and we're going to go back to the main presentation. Let's see. So I want to put up, I have a few more things to go through before we open for questions. Let's see. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. Right, so just a couple of key dates to keep in mind. Mentioned already, we have a webinar next Thursday. I'm going to put my video on. A webinar next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a competition overview. So if you did not participate in the one in September, or you just want to participate again and get your questions answered, please feel free to join us. We have a next webinar on November 19th focused on waste audit best practices during and post-COVID. That will be led by our partner Rubicon. We also will have our webinar focused on tracking and reporting for the competition on December 3rd, and that will be at 2 p.m. Eastern. I will be sending an email blast out tomorrow morning to the community with these dates and links to register if you are interested. The competition, registration for the competition will close on January 31st, so there's plenty of time to register. And the competition also begins on January 31st. We will aim to have so it's, as you know, it's a 2-month competition. It'll run January 31st through March 27th. We will aim to have the unofficial results posted by April 16th in time for Earth Day, and then final results will be posted on April 28th. And the reason there is a little bit of there is almost a full month lag between that is we close the competition. We allow campuses a couple weeks to go in and review their data to make any final edits and submissions that you need to do that. And then we take a look at our top ranking campuses and we request supporting documentation. And we also host phone calls with all of those top ranking campuses to just make sure the data looks good and, you know, everything is set. So that's why there's a little bit of a full month difference between the close of the competition and when we announce the winners of the competition. All right, so I think our next slide is then on questions. Now, before we, I want to just give, I don't see any questions yet. Let me see if, let me see, I am actually gonna do this. My chat box doesn't seem to be working for some reason. All right, so, all right, there we go. So I encourage you to enter any questions into the chat box or into the Q&A box, whichever you prefer. I'll leave this slide up. I'm doing this view because for some reason my boxes won't show up when I'm in slide view, and I want to make sure you can see contact information for me, Christy Jones, as well as Molly Kathleen from the Ohio State University that you heard from, and then also Helena Robinson from Xavier. That was the recorded presentation. All right, so I do have a question. So Jay, you couldn't find your 2019 results for your university. I can follow up with you on that. Are you, let me see if I can find you and unmute you. I can find out whether or not you mean your individual within ReTrack or maybe on the website. So let me. Hey Jay, I just asked you to unmute. Can you let me know if you're unable to find the 2019 results on the website or within ReTrack?
So can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Yeah, so I was excited to see in the last presentation by Xavier that Central Michigan University was third in game day basketball. I just did not know that. And so I went to the Recyclemania website to pull up 2019 results, and I think they're down. That would be
Okay.
very helpful for participating schools when, they're saying, hey, this is how we did last year. Let's do better this year. In my case, it'll be like, hey, let's at least make third again, in game day basketball. So
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. I might not have noticed that for a couple weeks. So I'll take a look at the website and see what's going on with the 2019 results.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so I do have a question in here. This is for you, Molly. Are the OSU housekeeping staff internal employees or a third party?
That's a great question. So it depends on the building. I would say actually a minority, or a smaller percentage of the housekeeping staff is actually internal, and the majority is contracted out through a third party. We were really lucky when it came to this initiative that we had support from leadership. So we were able to have, for our internal staff, they made accommodations in the schedule so their staff would be able to attend an hour-long training and still get their tasks done for the day. But then for the staff that is contracted out by a third party, we were also very lucky to so they work in a few different shifts, but we were able to kind of do it at shift change. So we did work with their supervisor, and we found a day that worked to do the trainings, and we just had much larger trainings for the staff that is through a different company. But yes, so that's a good question, and it did definitely rely on the coordination and collaboration of different departments in our university as well as a private company.
Molly, thank you for responding to that.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to hold for a couple more minutes, see if there's any questions, but I did have a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. Just if you have any questions for me, any resources you need, or specific questions about the competition, please reach out at any time at my phone number or the email address. Again, we all know that this upcoming spring is going to be unusual, challenging, just like the fall has been and the summer has been. If you don't feel like you can compete in the competition like you have in the past, like full tracking and reporting, we hope you do. We opened registration a couple weeks ago, and our registration numbers are exactly the same as they were this time last year. So I was very excited about that. I'm really happy to see that, because our team was just unsure of what participation would be for this spring. So I encourage you to definitely participate and compete in the 2021 competition. It is a free competition to participate in. If you feel like you're unable to track and report, then I still encourage you to register and launch a digital campaign during that spring and that February and March timeframe, just to keep the information flowing to your students, faculty, and staff about waste reduction efforts, zero waste goals. And you can do that through social media, through email, you can do quizzes. I would love to hear just different creative ways to launch strategies as part of digital campaigns, because that is kind of one of the key things we're all doing right now. So if you have strategies and ideas that you want to share, that would be great. As you know, we do have the case study opportunity within the competition. That will be an opportunity for 2021 as well. So again, if you're not able to track and report, you can still register, and you can share your case study with us on how you engaged your campus in a different way for 2021. Yes, and so the last question I think I see is, yes, the webinar is recorded, and we will have it posted hopefully by Monday or Tuesday of next week. I actually, my Zoom skills are improving, as I'm sure everybody's are over these last several months, so I should be able to get that recording up pretty quickly. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions coming through. Again, please reach out with any questions by phone, by email. Molly, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And so everybody, I hope you join us for the spring and enjoy the rest of your day, and happy Halloween.